on a Wednesday. I mean, to be here and show support is just tremendous, and I thank you very much. You just heard from Diane. That was the first on the top of my list to thank you. I want to thank the City of Red Deer for what, and as well the Red Deer Public School Board for the first letters of support. These organizations went beyond the call of duty. They just didn't sort of play the political game and just say, well, thanks, you know, we don't really like this. They went, they specified, they pointed out what we know, you know. We all know that Michener is important, and it should be here, and it should be kept open. So I thank them very much for that. Our friends in the media, yes, I just want to make sure that they're appreciated, because without you, no one hears about us. And again, I want to thank them. Particularly, I want to thank the Red Deer Advocate, because they've been instrumental in getting our message and publishing our letters and keeping our voice and our face in the public sector. So thank you again very much. Now this isn't too long, believe me, don't worry. Okay, the opposition parties, I want to thank, because immediately they came on board, all three parties. They did not see this as political opportunism or whatever. They stood with us. They will stand with it, starting towards the end of this week and next week. Members of our families, etc., will be in the legislature, be introduced from the floor, and they will be able to speak on our behalf from the floor and attack this government for what is basically an immoral decision. Last but not least, of course, are the AUPE members, the caregivers at Michener Center. I haven't my brother was there for 27 years. He passed away 3 years ago. But in those 27 years, I saw nothing but care and love, and I owe you a great deal. And that is why I am here today, because I owe you that respect. I do want to say that this is a tale of broken promises. This is not about an election promise by Miss Redford for a bridge, a road, wages that were promised but were taken away. She's already done that enough. But this is a tale of broken promises about flesh, bone, hearts, human beings that were given a promise. In 2008, under Moving Ahead, we were given a promise. It's written, it's passed, it was approved at a ministerial level that no one would be forced to leave Michener Center.
That's right!
And this is something that they must be held accountable to.
That's right!
This government's idea of transparency is a joke. All right? We know that Mr. Oberle likes to use the big I word. For those who aren't familiar with it, it's called institution. He throws it out there like the boogeyman. He wants everyone to be afraid so that our resolve and all that won't be there, but that isn't the case. We know that Michener is not an institution. It's been a community of care. It has been a community of care for years and will continue to be a community of care. If Mr. Oberle wants to use the I word, then I would suggest ignorance. I'm rolling here. Soon I'll be on the karaoke machine, but don't you? When Mr. Oberle was asked by one of our family members what he thought of the Moving Ahead report, he says, well, I'm not familiar with it. All right, that's ignorance.
Shame! Shame!
10 months in office. He has still not read it or acted on any part of it. That, to me, is ignorance. He totally dismisses the 8 Premier's Awards, of which the Moving Ahead report in 2009 was the silver medal winner in that category. And perhaps the worst is that he's choosing to ignore that 95% of the individuals that live at Michener have chosen through informed choice, and the families that they wish to remain there, and they were given that promise, and he is being ignorant about it. Miss Redford this I believe is her 4th trip to the United States. She has yet to put one foot on Michener, and yet her government, besides Michener's Institute without even having the decency to arrive, to look, to visit, to talk, and to understand the compassion that is at Michener. So, what are we going to do? We're fighting back, all right. All right. I suggest we've been hounding Ms. Jablonski. We've sort of sent messages out to Ms. Redford, but I think it's time now that Mr. Oberle hears from you. Mr. Oberle would not particularly like if several hundred people were to phone his office, phone his constituency, keep at his heels. Eventually, this man is going to get frustrated. So I suggest you continue to phone him. Phone your MLA. If your MLA is one of the opposition parties, show your support, offer your support, let them know that you're thankful for what they're doing. If you're part, obviously many of you are part of a union. If you're part of a service club, you're part of a church group, talk to them. Last night, one of our members, who's a member of the ATA, Local 54, talked to her membership. As a result, ATA Local 54 has agreed to write a letter to Redford to rescind the order to close Michener. To put Local 54 in perspective, this is the Edmonton Catholic School teachers. So, again, this is one small step, but the more of us that join up, the more we can fight this. We can only beat this if we convince the caucus that it is not worth the fight. So we must continue to push, and we continue to push hard, and with our friends in the legislature, we can win this battle. There is hope. So, we've just created a webpage. It's called www.friendsofmichener.org. On that webpage, you will see all the editorials, columns, letters, etc. that have been posted there to help people. There are some people that just don't like Facebook. Could you imagine? So if you don't like Facebook, that's right, you can go to friendsofmichener.org, and the articles and the letters, etc. are there, and yes, you can still link into Facebook if you choose. So there you go. We want to keep the information flowing out there. All right. Of course, Facebook is doing great for us. So, bottom line is, how are we doing? Just so you know, we've had 28,000 hits on our Facebook page. Facebook page for 2.5 weeks. We're up 50% from last week alone. The interest is out there. The momentum is growing. All right? So I also want to point out we need to let the opposition parties know that we're behind them in this support. Let's just keep pushing. So people have asked me, why are you doing this? David passed away 3 years ago. What's this about? I'll tell you what it's about. It's a question of honor and respect. And this is a fundamental principle of mine. My parents taught me this. I've seen them fight. I am fighting this fight for what I call the old guard. These are the people that were behind me, the people now that are 70, 80 years old that cannot fight this fight anymore. They need younger voices to stand up and say there is nothing wrong with Michener. The choice was right, and they need to have people help them. Ethel's 88, Gordon is 91. They live in Wainwright, Alberta. They wrote us a letter asking they gave us a donation. They thanked us for their support. They've had a daughter in Michener Centre for 51 years. They're in long-term care. They cannot be here to fight, but they send us their blessings. And I appreciate their energy and devotion to this cause, and I thank them very much. Of my brother, in respect of all of you that cared for him. Again, you brought peace to my family. You gave me the reassurance that my brother was cared for, and I can never ever thank you enough for that, and I extend the gratitude from my family, and thank you again. For 106, I think I've lost 5, so I'm down to 55. So sort of really to conclude, a month ago I'm Canadian. We're all Canadian, right? The one thing that's important to Canadians is how we take care of people. Our medical system, our Medicare, we believe in compassion. Until a month ago I am a Canadian. I was a proud Albertan. Today, I'm an Albertan. I want to become a proud Albertan again. And to conclude, I would like to remind Mr. Overley that as Associate Minister in the Department of Human Services, it's about time that he puts the human back into the services. So